What's up, YouTube? Hope everybody's having an awesome afternoon. So as you can tell by the screen, playing through some Dimir FrOculus today. I've been thinking about like the overall game plan I've wanted out of Oculus and trying to figure out like how to make the deck a little more consistently. And I've seen some people messing around with Thoughtseize is like a couple copies in the sideboard, maybe a couple copies in the main. And I started thinking to myself, like, obviously Thoughtseize is really good at setting up a Psychic Frog. Turn 1 Thoughtseize, take the interaction. Turn 2, drop a Frog, hopefully run away with it from there. Definitely an interesting line to have. But then I started thinking past that, like, does this also solve the ditch Oculus plan? Like, if I don't have a Psychic Frog to ditch Oculus, I can always Thoughtseize myself and unearth an Oculus. Like, it's not quite as efficient as just ditching it to a Frog with the 1/1 counter, but at the same time, it's better than not being able to play your Oculus. So I'm kind of wondering, like, if just going up on a bunch of Thoughtseizes is right. And I know people ask, like, well, why Thoughtseize over Inquisition? And it's basically Inquisition misses stuff Thoughtseize doesn't. That's about as far down that rabbit hole as you need to go. There are main deck staples in the format like the One Ring, Leyline Binding, Solitude, Supreme Verdict, random stuff like that Inquisition just straight up misses. So I don't think saving the 2 life is worth risking not being able to hit something. But the rest of the deck, outside of Bowmasters that I decided to cut to make room for the Thoughtseize, have already been kind of shaky on whether or not Bowmasters was the direction I wanted to be on going forward, but decided just to try out Thoughtseizes as like the straight 1-for-1 replacement. The rest of the main deck, like this Psychic Frog Oculus shell at this point. We've got Murktide. A couple Murktides is like an additional threat beyond the Psychic Frog Oculus plan, as well as a couple of copies of Harbinger of the Seas. Now, you will notice we are pretty threat light with only 12 actual creatures in the main deck. To make up for that, we do have 4 copies of Thought Scour, 3 copies of Consider to help kind of dig for these threats, and then Unearth functioning is kind of like a few additional threat. I'd probably consider Unearth like half of a threat each. So you have the ability to not only buy back something that's died, but Thought Scour to set up, Frog to discard to set up, Thoughtseize to discard to set up. So it's kind of somewhere hovering in the middle between a functional utility spell and another threat, hence the half a threat evaluation. 4 Fatal Push, 4 Counterspell, 2 Force Negation to shoot the Sheriff. I kind of mentioned in my deck guide video on traditional Murktide that one of the reasons I've been recently preferring traditional Murktide is you do lose a reasonable amount of interaction out of the Unearthed shell to make room for like these Unearths and extra cantrips. Like in the normal shells, you just have the 4 Preordained. Now you're looking at up to 7, 8 cantrips. And those spots have to come from somewhere, usually in the form of Spell Snare, Spell Pierce, extra Force Negation, things like that, extra Shoot the Sheriff. You do get a little weaker in matchups like the Mirror. In the sideboard, a lot of the cards overlap from traditional to Mystical Dispute, to Stern Scolding, 4 Consigned Memory, 2 Deluge. Trying out 2 Graveyard Trespasser. It's a card that I know Pygonti was talking really highly about, saying that won a bunch of games for him, so I figured I would give it a shot, see what happens. 2 Nihil Spellbomb and a Ghost Vacuum. The sideboard plan in most matchups is just to try to like really take on that control route. So Mystical Dispute, Stern Scolding to stop stuff from resolving, Toxic Deluge to wipe the board. I will say, I've mentioned it in a couple videos now, and I still think it gets overlooked a lot. I'm personally not a fan of Glistening Deluge because I don't want anything coming in post board against Boros that requires a double black mana pip when Blood Moon is so relevant, or like even playing Harbinger yourself. You really run the risk of just not being able to wrath them at all. And I think that's pretty problematic. But other than that, Graveyard Trespasser, I'm not sold on the card. Hopefully this league will change my mind. Either way, we'll go ahead and hop into it. So I'll catch y'all back for round number 1. All right, here for round number 1 up against Google. Hope they don't search out my weaknesses. Get it? We are on the draw. I do have a turn 2 frog. It would mean I can't do anything on turn 1 and I can't react to anything they do on turn 1. It kept 7. I think I'm going to keep it because even if they answer a frog, I can unearth it. Oh boy. Well, it's a good thing we got games 2 and 3. This is also stuff like this is a big reason why I really champion game 1 just not mattering. Palantir. Really championing game 1 just like not mattering, because there's going to be a lot of times that stuff like this happens where nothing you can do about it. Now finding this Bloodstained Mire, I think changes up my plan a little bit. I was going to lead on Sewers to get the turn 2 frog down, but now that I know I'm up against a Tron variant, I kind of want to lead Watery Grave and pass. And if they put something on the stack that I want to try to draw force into, I can Thought Scour myself. If they don't, then I'm just kind of hoping to high roll and flip over a Harbinger of the Seas. Like the odds are pretty low, but they're non-zero, so opponent might be like not playing out into a Spell Pierce or something here. Like not playing a Talisman. Looks like they're just going to go for a Kozilek's Command. Yep. Okay. Options. Number 1, just play out a frog. I feel like if they just ripped a blind Kozilek's Command like that, that probably means they have a second one. So if I just play out a frog, there's a pretty good chance that it's just getting hit with the Kozilek's Command. I could Thought Scour myself and try to flip over like that Harbinger or something, which I think sounds like what I want to do. Because I could also hit a Thoughtseize or a Force of Negation, maybe like Fatal Push the Spawn token. All right. Not the most thrilling flips. I am going to Fatal Push the token because I don't want them to be able to through the breach me this next turn. Palantir. All right, we'll I'm not gonna have you draw. Okay, Kozilek's Command. Let's go Undercity Sewers. See if we can hard cast a frog and say go. Gonna see again, see if maybe we can high roll flipping a Harbinger or maybe even like a Oculus. I do think that's something I've got to do a much better job of when I play this deck, is trying to high roll more often. All right. Does it tell you how they scryed? Scryed 1 top, 1 bottom. I'm really tempted to just like not let them draw the card. I know that they've got 2 copies of Devourer in hand. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this could very well just be a land. Okay. That's fine. Like I said, I don't think I'm winning that game anyway, since they have double Devourer in hand. If they have a land on top, then they just get to start hard casting Devourers and kill me with that. If they don't have a land on top, then I'm probably taking a bunch of damage, and there's still a good chance they're going to get to hard cast a Devourer next turn. So, is what it is. We've got 4 consigns coming in, 4 fatal push coming out. Could bring in mystical dispute, like bad mana leak mode for things like the One Ring isn't the worst. I would have to lose Shoot the Sheriff and probably a Spell Snare. I do have Talisman. Yeah, I think I'm going to bring in the mystical disputes. Okay. We're not as geared against Tron as I usually like to be in these blue-black decks, because like this is a very, very awful matchup. So you really need to be able to do something unfair post-board, which usually involves like break the ice, multiple break the ice. Need that. But this is turn 2 Frog, turn 3 like Ditch Harbinger, Unearth it, or hard cast Harbinger. We'll see what the hand looks like in a couple turns. I really just want to find something like a Force of Negation. Force? Not Force. Have to be a little bit careful here, because like if I ditch the Harbinger with plans to unearth it, that's not the most powerful play, but it's not bad. If I ditch the Oculus and plan on unearthing it and end up needing to hard cast the Harbinger, then I run the risk of just not being able to do anything else. Trinisphere. Okay. I have seen scarier than Trinisphere. Okay, so the question comes down to, do I want to have an Oculus in play, or do I want to have a Harbinger in play? Now, I know I'm ditching some stuff. Oculus closes the game out faster. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I run the risk of them just having like a soul land. I think I'm going to get back the Harbinger. And I do think I'm going to unearth the Harbinger instead of just hard casting it, so that I can get extra points of damage off this frog. And like right now, I am representing draw a card, ditch an Oculus, and hard cast an Oculus after this. Okay. So you're going to get a land. Let's attack in with our frog. Assuming they're going to block. Yep. Discard. Discard. Past Oculus. Miss that one. Okay. As turn. We'll put whatever under. Okay. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So we're representing exactly lethal. They could very easily have something like Kozilek's Command. All right, they got double Devourer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We know 2 of their 3. That's a good sign for us. Nice. Okay, so good proactive aggressive start. I think we did get paid off pretty well for unearthing that Harbinger instead of unearthing the first Oculus. But it might not be as easy for us on the draw. I think I'm going to bring the second Spell Snare back in on the draw over the Mystical Dispute just to try to slow down Talismans a little bit. Absolutely not. Not even like a bunch of fetches to get Murktide down ahead of schedule. Just bad hand overall. I think this is going to be an I have to keep it hand. I can't make black mana off this Gloom Lake. So I can't Thoughtseize turn 1, but I can consign or consider. The second Unearth is like a pretty free mulligan. Yeah. I think I'm going to keep it. Just throw back the second Unearth. Opponent has kept 7 with a Labyrinth. So assuming they've got a turn 1. Oh, no Talisman. Okay. A lot nicer for us. So we'll pass, plan on like consigning a Palantir or something. Or a Trinisphere. All right, lands. Let's consider because I want the best chance of hitting another land. Hopefully we do. Life total's not under too much duress. All right, Palantir, Null Drifter. We'll take the Palantir. They can evoke the Null Drifter. They're not going to evoke the Null Drifter. All right, land is really, really good because that means I can get down a Murktide this turn. Are they trying to get to hard cast the Null Drifter? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I'm just going to take the Null Drifter, slam the Murktide, and like if they top deck it through the breach, then so be it. But if they don't, then I start giving myself some chances to like draw counter spells, draw consign, something. Obviously, like I said, they could just rip the through the breach off the top and we lose on the spot, but Echo Spawn, take command. Okay, that's a pretty good one. Are we scrying? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 0 on top, all 4 to the bottom. So they are digging hard for a through the breach. Oh, please play like a Trinisphere. Ooh. Thank you. Really just glad that they're kind enough to throw back a bunch of these spawn tokens, because they got a random draw off the top here. I'm just digging heavily for a counter spell. Of course, great. Okay, so let's attack. There's no way that I can kill them here, right? Cycle Unearth. Only 3 extra counters. So we'll just attack with the Murktide, hold up force, and see what happens. Carry on. The old EOT through the breach. All right. Got 1 blind draw. Hardcast Null Drifter. That'll survive a turn. They didn't hit a land. Show me a counter spell. Okay. Oculus means I can survive a through the breach Emrakul. They have to block this Murktide. Oculus plus the token that Oculus makes gives me 6 that I can sack. Then I have to chump block. So like, if I Oculus, I'm never beating a through the breach Emrakul here. But I can't cycle Unearth and beat. Is there any way I can get 6 permanents? Like if I Unearth. No. Like if I Unearth into a land to be able to cast Oculus, is that Unearth, hit the land, Oculus, that would beat through the breach Emrakul. Okay. So if I just hard cast the Oculus and pass, I manifest on their upkeep. That gives me 4 lands, Oculus manifest token, tapped Murktide. If they threw the breach Emrakul, then I have to sack my 4 lands for sure, the manifest token, and the tapped Murktide, because I have to have the Oculus to chump block the Emrakul, which means I have nothing in play. I die. If I cast the second Murktide, then I have a big Murktide If they threw the breach, I lose my entire board, both Murktides, all 4 lands. If I cycle Unearth and I hit a land and get to play the Oculus off of that, then I have 5 lands in play, Oculus, Manifest token. I can sack the 5 lands, sack the Manifest token, chump block with the Oculus, still have Murktide around to survive lethal. So if I just hard cast the Oculus, they have Through the Breach, I die, so I have to go for the Unearth line. Can't do that. So backup plan is just play Murktide, say go. All I can do. Do you have the Through the Breach? Nice. I am really glad that we got to do a little bit of extra thinking there and realize that there was what should have been. It's probably obvious to a bunch of people watching the video that we had to go for the Unearth there. But like for me, I got to sit there and think through lines like that, because usually it comes down to, okay, is there something you can play around? Or in this case, can you not play around the thing unless you go for a risk? Like, can we not play around Through the Breach except for this one exact minor scenario? Now, it could have been that we didn't play out. We went for the Unearth and didn't play out a threat. No, because we had the second Murktide regardless. So we were going to have another spell. And if you aren't aware of Trinisphere with Murktide Regent, it's a really good interaction to know. Delving is in a like an alternate way of paying mana costs. So Trinisphere just says it raises the converted mana cost to 3. So it costs less than 3, costs 3 to cast. Murktide, the Delve is still costing 3. Even if you're not tapping 3 lands, the cost of the spell is still 3. So it's a really useful little interaction to know that you don't have to pay extra for Delve spells. It used to come up a lot with Tasigur playing against like Tron. But either way, really cool match. See you back for round number 2. All right, back with round number 2. We win the die roll. So let's see what kind of an opening hand we've got. Thoughtseize, Unearth, Consider. So we could have a couple looks at finding something to unearth with a Surveil land off the Bloodstained Mire, Consider. If we happen to actually draw into one, we could Thoughtseize ourselves and get it on the battlefield. But I think just like that level of uncertainty is a little more than I want to deal with in an opening 7, especially on the play. So I'm going to ship this back, try to look for something that's not that. Something that has like a turn 2 frog or Oculus. We'll just throw back Bloodstained Mire. Actually, I'll throw back Watery Grave, Bloodstained Mire. I can get a Surveil land on 1 and then just like play Island Frog on 2. See what our opponent's up to. Amulet. Yep. Okay. Be a little bit of a tough start for the heroes to overcome. Mold to 5. I'll keep a Thoughtseize on top. That could be a really good one for like turn 3. See what they throw at us. Okay. Got the fatal push for the analyst. I think I'm gonna go to attacks. Am I? They're gonna have Titan mana next turn, so I need to Thought Seize. Yeah, I think I am gonna go to attacks and attack into the analyst. If they block, I'll just ditch like fatal push force. Since they're not blocking, I think I'm gonna ditch frog force. They hoping for another land. Gotta kill this analyst here, because if I don't, I risk them being able to combo off on their turn, especially since they have Lotus Field and Woodland in the graveyard already. Edition map. Interesting one. Okay, so just had the other amulet already. Counterspell's good. Let's attack in. Won't discard anything. Trying to see if I can find another land. Ugh. I think I just have to pass here. I could be in a lot of trouble if I like go to get back the Oculus and they just have the Titan this turn, like bounce land Titan. But if I can like counterspell a Titan this turn, untap, and maybe like Thought Seize next turn, that could be decent for me. They get Growth Chamber. Okay. What you got? Pick up this Saga. Pretty surprised at that. I'm pretty positive I'm countering just about anything they put on the stack here. I don't know if I agree with that play. Maybe they just have a one ring. Like the part I don't really agree with is picking up the Urza Saga there instead of just getting like another amulet next turn and just saving your growth chamber. Yeah, I think I am just gonna burn my counter spell here. It has the highest chance of kind of shutting down this turn. Okay, another land is good, so now I can Thought Seize and Unearth. Let's attack. Discard the Oculus. Hit for 4. Thought Seize you. Scape Shift. Unearth our Oculus. There you go. Put whatever under. Okay. So they've got an Otawara. And they've got not wanting to play the rest of this game. Cool. Love to see that. Nice little game one win against Amulet Titan. I have seen a bunch of these Titan lists going to multiple mystical disputes in the sideboard. And I also don't know if I want to like bring in Stern Scolding for Analyst, or if Fatal Push is just good enough. They have Cavernous Souls. I probably want to go Fatal Push. I'll trim like a couple of them. Get rid of Spell Snare. Well, again, Analyst, Explore. Stuff. Sideboarding has become like more and more awkward in recent weeks. Not really recent weeks, recent sets. There's so many decks nowadays that have like a main deck game plan and a backup plan that is so far off of the primary plan. Like Boros, your primary plan is, hey, I'm going to play 1-drop into 2-drop into 3-drop, whatever. And I'm really bad against sweepers with that. But then the backup plan is Flage that requires like graveyard hate that doesn't do anything against the primary plan. And then the ring, which is god tier against sweepers. All right, we're going to mulligan this. Not really doing anything. Oh, that's an iffy one. I really want to keep this because like I can answer a turn 1 Amulet. Opponent's on 6. I can answer a turn 1 Amulet. All I got to do is find a black source. All right, well now we don't even have to answer a turn 1 Amulet. But going back to that whole discussion about like the sideboard juke, or not even sideboard juke, just the second plan being so different. You look at decks like I mentioned Boros there. Another good example is Amulet Titan, like we're playing against, where your primary plan is, I'm going to get to a Titan early and outvalue with that. But then the backup plan is just, I'm going to Analyst combo. And all I need is the graveyard. But the grave hate is really, really bad against the primary plan. So, pick your poison. Make a dude. We're not going to make a dude. Oh, you are. You just didn't realize you don't have to tap more right now. Land. Nice. Okay. Option number 1, we Windmill Slam a frog. Option number 2, we play Murktide. I think I'm going to play the frog. Reason being, I want to have a little bit more card advantage. And I can also hold up Consign here, so I can consign the Saga trigger to get, like, tutor up something, and then have Force Negation in case I go for, like, a 1 ring here. The best case scenario would be they respond by making a construct here. Nice. Then we consign this. An opponent obviously attacks into us. Please. Okay, I was joking, but block and discard Thoughtseize. I don't know what kind of instant speed flash in artifact. They just have a dismember. That's fine. Actually, I think I'm gonna save the frog. I absolutely think I am gonna save the frog. Port of Cardbell. Oh, I think I saw House of Mana playing this card. That's good top deck. Let's attack in, see if our opponent decides they want to block or not. So, Port of Carfell. Sack it, mill 4 cards, and return a creature from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So if that's the case, I'm just going to take the Summoner's Pact. So we don't set up a port for them. Play out a big Murktide, say go. They cannot Titan this turn, but they can Titan next turn. Oof. Rough hits. Hopping the frog. Or my... I'm kind of like okay if they just block with the analyst. So I think I'm just going to attack in and plan on discarding. Yeah, I'm fine if they block with the analyst because they're dead in 2 turns to the Murktide attack anyway. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, 2, 3, 11, 12. They're not dead even if I exile to the frog. Pack of frogs, say go. I could cycle that unearth and go for like a consigned to memory, but with them not having any amulets, I'm not in fear of them comboing off with analysts, especially since their graveyard like doesn't have anything as far as lands go. They don't have woodlands, they don't have like bounce lands in their yard or Lotus Fields. So this analyst just like isn't really doing anything. If they do manage to Titan this turn, which at the moment they can't, then I still have a lethal Murktide in the air next turn, and I can hop one of these frogs. So, yeah, pretty good showing there. Thoughtseize still feeling pretty solid. So, see you back for round number 3. Welcome back to round 3. Won another die roll, so get to be on the play again. What do we got? Got Gigantha revealed as a companion. I don't hate this hand. The mana's a little bit awkward, but I am filling my graveyard really, really quick to just hard cast an Oculus. And there's a chance that if I do that, I think I'm going to keep it because I'm on the play. I don't think I would keep this on the draw. But on the play, just playing like Undercity on 1, turn 2, Thoughtseize, plus either Fatal Push or fetch up a Surveil land, or depending on what they have or how they start, maybe another Thoughtseize. And just try to get to like hard cast Oculus or Murktide really quickly. With Thoughtseize able to strip some stuff like been to consider. Thoughtseize able to strip stuff like Static Prison. I feel like there's a chance this hand comes together. Again, if I was on the draw, I wouldn't keep this in a million years. But being on the play, I kind of want to give it a shot. Ocelot Pride. Okay, so I can get basic swamp off of that if I want. Exercise. Main deck exercise is absolutely wild. That is crazy. Okay, so I kind of want to go Thoughtseize the exercise, Thoughtseize the Ajani. Just like hope the Raptor doesn't flip into anything good. I take a couple points here off of the Ocelot Pride. Yeah, Johnny. But this also means I can like guarantee push, play Murktide next turn or something like that. Yep. Yeah, so they hit a 1 ring, can't play it out because they don't have the energy. Back in with the cat. All right. Now, I really wish that I could play out the Oculus this turn. But I think it's a lot better for me in the long run if I just play out the Murktide. Get a basic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go. For the flips to the Raptor. Blood Moon, you got it. Then got a race. Another Raptor. Your Ragavan, okay. So hitting me for 3 down to 10. I hit you for 7 down to 3. You hit me 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 down to 3. I win the race unless Monkey hits something good. They can't cast an Oculus. They can't cast a Murktide. They draw Flage, I'm dead. If they draw 1 ring, I'm dead. They hit a Thought Scour. That would feel so bad if they Thought Scour themselves and flip over a Flage and get to just escape it. Oh, that would feel so bad. Okay. Survey says. Like, if you got the kill spell, you go for the kill spell. I don't have counter spell available. Nice. Okay. Kind of wonder what was in their hand there. Maybe they drew into like a discharge or something, and we're double checking their energy, but not sure. We got Stern Scolding, Trespasser, uh, Deluge. I do think Spellbomb is better than Vacuum in this matchup because of stuff like Static Prison answering Vacuum really easily. It's like an okay piece of Grave Hate, but I don't think it's like the best thing we have access to. Boros is a little sketchy. Part of me wants to try. I've seen a bunch of people bringing in Consigned to Memory in this matchup, and I really don't think it's very good, especially when compared to a lot of the other stuff that we have access to bring in. But part of me is tempted to try it if I find myself with like an extra spot or two to bring out. Like maybe I want to board out a frog on the draw and like an unearth on the draw just in case they have Grave Hate, bring in a couple consigns. Because consign hit the One Ring, it hits ETB off of like Static Prison, ETB off Raptor and Johnny, but those are a lot less exciting. We'll see what this hand does. Like seeing them on a Surveil land on one. Maybe we can find a Spell Snare. Spell Snare, Stern Scolding. Nope. All right. I'm going to plan on getting a couple basics early. Play around Blood Moon. A bombardment. All right, so let's go Island Swamp. Play Frog. Go. Got to decide how aggressive I'm going to be with this Frog. A Raptor. Into Static Prison. Okay. Now, option number one, just get all my basics out of the way. Wouldn't be too bad. Option number two, play something like the Verge. Save the Flooded Strand for an Undercity Sewers. I kind of want to just get this Graveyard Trespasser down. Yeah, let's just play the Verge, get the Trespasser. Exile anything. I think this only cares if it's a creature card to get the life drain. And I'm pretty positive ward triggers every time it's targeted, not just like you pay the ward once and it goes away for the turn. So if they have a plan to like bombardment it down or something, it's going to cost them some cards. All right, there's Flage. So an Unearth would be like a fantastic draw here. Go ahead and go for the Ajani flip. I'm not a fan of this line. Just like flipping the Ajani right away. Probably better, but I don't know. Feels kind of sketchy. Well, go ahead and cycle this spell bomb. Try to find an unearth or something. Nope. Okay. So I can get down Oculus next turn. Feels way, way, way too slow. This is like one of those games where the Raptor flip just spiraled everything out of control. It was like if that Raptor had flipped into an exercise or a discharge or something else that could have let us keep our frog alive, then I feel like we would have drawn through this little pocket here pretty well. But because the Raptor flipped into a static prison, they got to answer our frog right on curve. And things spiraled pretty badly. Then obviously, like having the Flage to discard to the Trespasser. They've got the Arena on hand. Yeah, we'll scoop it up there. Go to game 3. Bring our frog back in on the play. I think I'm going to bring in at least one Harbinger on the play. Graveyard Trespasser didn't look that bad. Like it forced the discard. It was definitely a roadblock for a lot of the early game aggression. I think it'll be better on the play than the draw. I think I'm just going to trim on like some cantrips. Like I want to keep the ability to have just Thought Scour over something and unearth it, but that's just a really inconsistent plan. Gotta throw this back too. Okay. We'll throw back Bloom Lake and Bloom Lake in the island. Murktide. Gotta keep the Murktide. I need a threat. Like I would prefer it be just about any of the other threats, but I've got to have something. And I'm not like terribly far off of getting a Murktide resolved. Okay. Show you a fun little interaction here. So I want to be able to Toxic Deluge, and I want to give myself the most chances of hitting a land to Toxic Deluge. Option number 1 is go for the Consider and then Surveil afterwards. The problem is this creates a risk where I cast Consider and the top card of my library is Undercity Sewers. And that way I'd have to bin it if I want to get any value off Consider, and then my fetch land doesn't do anything. So you can get around this by fetching up the Undercity Sewers. I gotta be sure to hold control here. Put the Surveil trigger on the stack and respond to that with Consider. This way you get the Consider, because you're going to draw the card off Consider anyway. So it doesn't make sense, or it doesn't matter if you bin it or keep it on top, you're drawing the card. But then you get to Surveil afterwards and have the chance to get another look for, like in this case, the land. We don't find it, but it's a fun little interaction to have in your back pocket. Well, that was about as bad of a situation as we could have set up there. Just not finding that land. We did have 3 looks at it, so how it goes sometimes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If they have a land, is 7, 8, 9 for the 2 tokens. So there's a chance that they don't have the City's Blessing after they untap here. If we get to like counterspell something, I'd assume that they're just not going to put anything else on the board. They're going to make me deal with these Ocelot Prides and then follow up with some stuff after I Wrath. I would think. I have been wrong plenty of times before. If they have like a Blood Moon, you probably just Windmill Slam it, but... Alright, now I'm going to cycle this Consider into turn. Or cycle this Unearth. Okay. Step 1, find the land. So we at least know we're not dead to the Ocelots. Step 2 is going to be my opponent not casting a 1 ring here, which doesn't look like they're going to follow along with that plan, or they just have a Blood Moon. Nope. We need a land. All right. Pretty safe to say they probably have answers for the Murktide, but they're going to overload this counter spells like so badly if I just pass with a single counter spell up. So at least this asks a question that they have to answer. Not a particularly good question, but it's the only question we got. Flip into a Ragavan. Okay. And they got the Static Prison. All right. We'll go to the next one. Tough one there. I feel like if we could have hit the land, they missed their 3rd land drop the first turn. I feel like if we could have gotten that sweeper a turn sooner and been able to start holding up counterspell, we might have had a reasonable chance. But we just fell behind too quickly. That is definitely the downside of the Oculus deck, is your mulligans are usually a lot more aggressive. So it's harder to come back from that if you mulligan and don't see a really good start. But we'll see if we can right the ship in round number 4. Okay, here with round number 4. Win another die roll. Hopefully it serves us a little bit better than that last match did. No Gigantha revealed. We've got Surveil. Like, let's assume we Surveil to the yard. Is 2, 3, 4, 5 if I get to Fatal Push. So it's still not enough to Oculus on turn 3. even if I bin everything I can. So I'm going to ship it, look for something a little bit better. Not terrible. Not great, but not terrible. I think I'm going to keep it, throw back the Thought Scour, the second Thought Scour. Hopefully Undercity can like find us a second land. Maybe we Thought Scour over something in Unearth. Maybe we find a frog. Or Undercity can just like surveil a second copy of Oculus into the yard and unearth from there. Either way, it is a pretty sketchy keep. I'll bin a frog. I would love to keep the frog, but unfortunately the frog isn't a second land and I need a second land more. But if I don't hit one, I can decide between like cantripping or just going for the unearth. But I would really like to find a second land so I can like Thought Scour myself and then decide. Looks like opponent is thinking about main deck surgicaling my frog. Maybe they're double queued. There we go. Go ahead. What you got? Commercial district. So could be Storm. Could be like the Spike Surveil deck. Love that we're able to find a polluted delta. So let's go. I am going to Thought Scour myself first. Because maybe if I find a third land, I want to like hold up Fatal Push this turn and go for an Oculus next turn. Might change up what I do. If I flip over an Oculus, I would definitely rather unearth that than the frog. But I think I'm just going to get the frog back. So I can always, now that I've found the third land, I can always hard cast Oculus next turn. Cyclist Street Wraith. Is this like, this has got to be a Delirium build, right? I think Spike played like Jund Delirium yesterday. I'm going to guess that's what this is. So option number one is just play the Oculus. I think I'm going to play my land and attack. No, I'm not going to play my land and attack. I'm just going to attack. And if they double block, I'll ditch, sink, consider Fatal Push, and then follow it up with land Oculus. Then I'll have another card to maybe like change the decision. Like maybe if I hit another Fatal Push, I just want to go push. Or like an unearth, I can go push, ditch the Oculus, unearth it. All right, I think I'm just going hard cast Oculus. If they have like a fly trap, it's not really doing a ton right here since they don't have Delirium. There's like a couple cards off. Let's get Swamp, Eyeball. Yeah. Flood the board a little bit. Also makes it a little bit awkward if they can't remove the Oculus right away. All right, so Oculus face down, shoot the sheriff in the yards. Now if they do just have like an exerted arena for a fly trap here, it's pretty solid. But they would have had to have flipped over Delirium right there for the fly trap to do anything. That's rude. Also have an Unholy Heat. Don't like bobbling yourself there. Have to attack with the Dragon's Rage Channeler, so I'm just going to block it. If they do have a way to kill off the Oculus, then I still get to Fatal Push the Nethergoyf. But if they don't have a way like this, then life gets a lot better for the home team. And I'm probably just going land, attack in for 6. Plan on fatal pushing the Nethergoyf and like sink into Stupor if they have a payoff or something on their turn. And that should kind of wrap things up. Yep. Like the best thing they can do is have a fly trap, and I've got that answered with sink into Stupor. So or just spell snare rumble. It'll push another Goyf. Yep. Okay. On to game number 2. So we've got Spellbomb, we've got Ghost Vacuum, got Graveyard Trespasser. So decent amount of grave hate. Stern Scolding hits Dragon's Rage Channeler, hits Fear of Missing Out. I'm pretty sure he hits Fly Trap as well. I think Fly Trap's a 2/4. TG. What is it? Omnivorous Fly Trap. Yeah, Fly Trap's a 2/4. So Stern Scolding hits Fly Trap, Dragon's Rage Channeler, and Fear of Missing Out. Of course, a little less exciting. Spell Snare hits FOMO and Rumble. Harbinger, I don't think looks good. They have a lot of instant speed, red removal. Some number of Thoughtseize. Roll with this. Okay. I usually say don't keep Murktide hands And when I say that, I mean, don't keep a hand that's good in like traditional Murktide, because you run the risk of just not being able to follow up on it. But I think this is going to be one of those exceptions. I'm on the draw with the Spell Snare. So if I can just go like Spell Snare, Malevolent Rumble or something into turn 2 Counter Spell or Consider. Push is a great pickup, but I feel like it's probably going to be Spell Snare, a Fear of Missing Out here. I don't know exactly what Spike's list looked like, but usually when a deck like this sees play, they just kind of copy whatever did well. All right, this is Spike's list. Chandler, Nethergoy, FOMO, Phoenix, Flytrap, Wraith, Tarfire, Thoughtseize, Violent Urge, Malevolent Rumble. So I'm assuming this is what they're running. Probably bringing in Surgical. They could bring in Pick Your Poison, so I need to be wary of that. I think those are about the only things I care about. Now, whether they go for Rumble, I was going to say, if they went for Rumble or Fear of Missing Out, I think I'm countering either one. Double Channeler Bobble. Let's go ahead and be mana efficient and kill off one of these. I don't think I want to surveil here and risk like going to my turn, fatal pushing, not having counterspell up on their turn. I'd rather just go ahead and deal with one of these. Okay. Now we just do our best to slow down the game a little bit this turn. Hopefully counterspell something impactful, untap Graveyard Trespasser to take out like the Channeler, gain a life. Make them deal with the Channeler. They decide on their Surveil. Spell Snare or Spell Snare Rumble. They should have waited until they saw if the Rumble resolved to decide on shocking in that Stomping Ground. They just kind of gave us a free 2 damage there. I'm going to bin that Psychic Frog. I like Frog in general, but I don't think this is the spot that I really need it. Let's just play out the Trespasser, knock out the Channeler. Is that the better play? I think it's a really good play. I mess up this turn. I kind of wonder if it would have been better to Undercity this turn. Undercity this turn and hold up Counterspell, just like take 1 or 3 off the channel or whatever. Counter something and then untap with like Trespasser plus Stern Scolding. That way, if they did have like Bolt for the Trespasser on their end step, I guess I don't even think they run Bolt. I'm just gonna not overthink it. I was thinking a line where they go like Bolt in step on the Trespasser, discard something to give them Delirium, and like untap with Fly Trap Arena. Like, does that just wreck my entire world? But that's asking for a very specific like set of cards. You need a Bolt that at least Spike's list isn't even running Lightning Bolt. You need Bolt, discard a non-sorcery, non-instant, non-land, untap, have an arena, and have a fly trap. So 4 cards exactly. Here goes the arena. We could very easily have a fly trap here. A trap would be nasty. Oh, I'm gonna get so punished for that graveyard trespasser line. Yep. Oh, I got punished so badly for that. Brutal. Brutal, brutal, brutal. All right, so I attack in with the Trespasser, exile the Phoenix. That was so bad on my side. No reason to force that issue. Okay, so we unearth the frog. We play the Murktide. Surveil first, in case flip over something good. Keep that on top. Lay out a Murktide. They go. Okay. Another fly trap. Ah. I guess on the bright side, they don't get to double counters here. They just get to add some. This frog is definitely getting thrown under a proverbial bus here. I don't really like that choice to put the counters on the channeler. Like the channeler's killing whatever it blocks regardless. I feel like it doesn't really matter. But this letting me get a fly trap off the board is really nice. So I can attack and take out the tar fire. That gets Delirium off the board for them. What if they go double block the Trespasser? I guess that's kind of okay if they do that. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I can't kill. So I think I am just attacking with the Trespasser only. Am I? Yeah, because I have to take them off Delirium. Take Tarfire. Gets rid of instant and tribal, whatever it is, kindred. Sego. Okay, Bauble is fine. Because even if I counter this, they still get Fly Trap going. Bauble me. Where are these counters going? All right, so we're going to block the Fly Trap. And we're going to push this Channeler. We're going to hold up Counterspell. But opponent's got nothing, so we're going to go to our turn, and we're going to have Murktide, Graveyard Glutton, exile 2 creatures, and that should be lethal, right? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 on the... Each creature card exiled this way. They lose 1, you gain 1. So we'll hit Fly Trap and Dragon's Rage Channeler. They lose 2, I gain 2. And Murktide Graveyard Glutton gets there. That was sick. Winning that game despite the like compounding punts there in the middle felt really, really good. Really glad of the way that played out for us. And then, of course, them not seeing Arena of Glory was a really big deal with the double Fly Trap. But it just goes to show that there's a lot of turns in these matches where it's so important to not compound mistakes. Like, I could have played the more mana efficient line of Undercity Sewers, hold up Counterspell, just not let them resolve a Fly Trap. And then the next turn have Graveyard Trespasser plus Stern Scolding, stop a Fly Trap again, and I'm just like cruising to victory at that point. But because we played that first land with the expectation of playing the Graveyard Glutton or the Graveyard Trespasser, it became, okay, well, now I don't want to not play out my Trespasser this turn and then not play it out next turn either because I'm playing a tapped land. I can't double spell. But really, I should have just done that. I should have just held up the counter magic for a turn. Maybe I draw an untapped land and I can play the Trespasser anyway. But if I don't, like, just slow it down a couple turns instead of getting ahead of yourself. Either way, see you back for round number 5. We'll see if we can go for the 4-1. Round number 5. We are on the draw this time. We do have a pretty good start. Just Thoughtseize into Frog. Got a potential counter spell available. See what our opponent's up to. Wooded Foothills. What does Wooded Foothills mean to me? Storm, maybe. They didn't reveal Gigantha, so not entirely sure what they got going on. All right, so it is Storm. We'll take the Ruby Medallion. Rest of their hands. Kind of whatever. So there's a chance here that I'm not going to go for the Frog turn 2. I might just like hold up counter spell. Not a big chance. Probably going for the Frog. Let's be honest. Yeah. Getting Frog down is way, way better in the long run. I'll regret it pretty bad if they questing Druid and flip over exactly a mana reducer. Don't, but they do hit a boatload of rituals. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, wish down to 3. They could like, no, they don't have a mana reducer, so they can't Underworld Breach. Okay. They could like Galvanic Relay and try to set up a win next turn. Okay. I don't like this turn out of them. I think they just burned a lot of resources to like not really. I mean, I guess they get the rituals in the yard for past influence. Okay, never mind. Never mind. I take that back. I think this turn for them was fine. I think they're really just putting those cards in the yard for like potential past in flames, and that's a-okay. So started to give my opponent a tough time. I take it back. Opponent, your turn was fine. Pass and hold up counter spell. I need more counter spells. All right, that's a good one. Attack in, and I think I'm just gonna start ditching stuff pretty aggressively to the Frog. Like this, ditch the other Frog. I might even just ditch this Murktide. Discard the Thought Scour. I think I am. I think I'm just discarding this Murktide. I'm not hard casting this thing when I've got Spell Snare, Counter Spell up. I don't even think I'm casting Sync. Like, just hit you in the face with a Frog. They go. Make it a 3-turn clock with some amount of counter spells. Spell snare that. I really want to set up them just like using a bunch of resources. That's a really good draw. Okay. I don't need to discard the frog. I could, but it just like doesn't matter. See what you got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm just taking Wish. Take Wish, Counterspell, Past in Flames. If they discard, if they hit a mana reducer, no, they don't have enough mana if they hit a mana reducer. Desperate Ritual's fine. Counterspell, Past in Flames. That should be it. Yeah. So good decision on us to just like give up on the Murktide plan. Go all in on the frog. I think going shields down that turn would have been a way that we could have lost that. We just like didn't have to. I'm on the draw. Spellbomb's fine. I might bring in Graveyard Trespasser just because like I want to get rid of some of these other spells. And Graveyard Trespasser might just be like enough pressure to bring in like a 1-for-1 replacement for Harbinger in this case. But it attacks a little bit harder and I have the potential of just like exiling some stuff out of the yard. Bring in like a consign, call it a day. Okay. I am pretty content with this sideboard. This sideboard plan. Ooh. Turn 1 Thoughtseize, turn 2 Thoughtseize. I do have double blue for Counterspell. I don't hate it, but I don't have any pressure and I don't have any way of digging for pressure. Like I don't have a Surveil land, I don't have a cantrip. The only way I can set up Unearth would be to Thoughtseize myself. So if I like Thoughtseize my opponent turn 1 and then turn 2 like hit an Oculus or something, I could Thoughtseize myself and unearth it right away, but that's assuming that my Thoughtseize is dead into whatever they have and thinking the Oculus runs away with the game. This hand's super close. So I think I'm going to ship it. This might be dicier. Step in the right direction. Okay, no mana reducer, please. This impulse is fine. Keep another land. They go. Hieratic Ritual, Valakut Awakening. They just fire that off. Am I countering the Valakut Awakening? Probably not, because that's just like 3 mana draw a card. I don't think that really matters. Sure. I feel like they are going for it. Not quite what I was expecting. Land. Okay. All right. So many unearths. Okay. Are we dead? Double mana reducer. That turns pretty rough. Say, if you're attacking, I'm 100% throwing this frog in front of it. And I'm going to keep the unearths in hand at the moment. Maybe I hit like another Oculus and I want to unearth both of them. There's another Oculus. Another medallion's fine. That could be a bait spell. We'll cycle this unearth. Try to find some more relevant stuff. Then got to attack him, but I can't flip this Oculus. I just like can't tap off of Snare Consign. I mean, if they don't block, I'm flipping the Oculus, but I'm just not flipping it beforehand. All right. I don't think there's anything they can have that stops me from killing them here. Love to see it. Super sweet little 4-1 there. Definitely fun. I do think the Thought Seizes were great. Like, I think the Thought Seizes were absolutely A tier that entire league, running into like Amulet Titan and Tron and Storm. Obviously less good against Boros. You're just kind of hoping that the rest of the Oculus build is enough to carry some of the weight there. I think in that third game against Boros, if we hadn't gotten mana screwed, like I think we mulled to 5, missed our third land drop off of what was it, like in Undercity Sewers plus a consign plus a couple draws, and that hurt really, really badly. I think if we hit that land sooner, we at least put up a fighting chance. We might not win it, but at least we give a good run. Didn't see much out of Harbinger this league, which is unfortunate. I've said before, I think that card is really, really underrated and definitely want access to a bunch of them in like every big event I play in. But Thoughtseize look phenomenal, like at every point. I think I don't want to make unrealistic, bold claims, but I think this card does a lot to help minimize the matchup percentage drops that you have in other matchups. Like when you drop a lot of the interaction to go with this Unearth package, I think Thoughtseize does a good job of kind of mitigating against those decks that you just have less interaction against. Although we didn't get to Thoughtseize ourselves and unearth anything, we still had the option. I'll still stand by that. I don't think hard casting Oculus is very good. The 2 copies of Murktide definitely pulled some weight. I don't know. I'm going to try out this Thoughtthieves plan a lot more. Graveyard Trespasser out of the board was dope. Really good into that Delirium match. And then just like a little bit of incidental hate here and there. I could see a world where the meta is predominantly Dimir and Boros, and maybe you wanted to run Graveyard Trespasser in the main over Harbinger. I'm not near that point. It's not something I'm suggesting to go do, but I could see an argument for it. No idea if we're going to make it to that point by like December when the bans happen, but something to think about. Otherwise, deck felt better than it has for me previously. I've been an Oculus hater, and I think Thoughtseize is doing a really good job of helping me get behind the being more proactive mindset. That being said, we did mulligan a lot. We had a lot of like Murktide hands that weren't really FrOculus hands. So still working on getting a hang of those and seeing like what I think is keepable versus not keepable. But regardless, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it helped you learn something for your next big event. As always, links down below to the Twitter, Discord, Twitch, in case you want to come check out a live stream. If you're enjoying the video, enjoy the commentary, feel free to leave a like and a YouTube sub. Doesn't cost you anything. Just lets you know when the videos go live. So other than that, hope everybody has a fantastic rest of your evening. Stay safe, enjoy some good food and company. I will catch y'all back live later. Adios for now.